Sam, good to see you. Feels like it's been ages, doesn't it? I bet
Yeah,
it feels like ages to you since you last played.
yeah. It's been a long time. You don't usually have this much of a break so early in the season. I think kind of over the past 4 years in this league, you do end up with a few. Probably when the weather gets a bit worse, just because of the pitches and the grounds you go to. But this early is a little bit strange. Um, I think a little bit frustrating from the boys because I know they wanted to get on the pitch and really kind of put ourselves in a position where we feel that we should be and we could be. But look, like it's maybe been a good thing for 2 weeks to be able to have a little bit of a refresher, kind of review what we've done so far, and have more time on the training ground. Because I know before that, leading in, we've had a lot of midweek games, and it's hard to work tactically and get in the physical workload that you want when you are playing so many games in a short space. So the 2 weeks, as much as we were frustrated to not have a game, they've probably been a good opportunity for us to get that physical load into us.
Yeah, I was going to ask about the importance of that because you've had such a great start to the season on this good unbeaten run as well. And you and Wrexham have got this right old battle at the top. I just wonder whether it can do you good sometimes to step away. Because I know Luke Williams asks a lot of the players in training, and obviously out on the pitch you can see the amount of work players put into games. Whether actually it probably is quite a good time to have a little bit of a break and sort of get back to it now.
Yeah, but by saying break, you probably we still do a lot of work.
Mm.
The workload is high because it's more not necessarily tapering off the workload. You have to keep it high because you're then talking about injury prevention and the risk of injury if you do taper off the workload too much, and then we go into a game that's really intense. Your injury possibilities do kind of creep up a little bit. So it has been very intense the time we've had off, but it has been a great opportunity to, like you say, review what we've done before and work on it and allow us to now go into the next block with the same intensity and focus of what we've done the kind of first block of 20 games, and go kind of take that form that we've had and take it forward.
And you know, don't you, this season, we've seen it from Wrexham that you guys are going to have to be right on it because Wrexham are just up there every time anybody drops a point. The other one kind of, you've taken over them when they've drawn, they've overtaken you. It's looking like a right old battle. You're going to have to be right on it through the season, it seems, both of you to get over the line.
Yeah, it looks quite a tough shootout at the top. I don't think you can discount Chesterfield because I think if they win their game, they'll be very close as well. But I think like you say, if you slip up, there's going to be someone there to pounce on top and take advantage of that. So we need to make sure we're at the top of our game every week. And I think what's been brilliant this year is when we're not quite playing our best stuff, physically, the way that we've played and the style that we can then add to it, the out of possession stuff has allowed us to kind of get a result and a victory from not playing our best stuff in possession. And that's one thing that I think we're kind of proud of this year, and it's something that we focus on a lot and we want to continue doing going forward.
Scunthorpe this weekend, a club obviously where you started. I know a club close to your heart. I mean, they've had a horrible few years. I think it's 7 wins in 72 games now, as they've just avoided relegation, then been relegated, and now struggling this season. I mean, what's it like for you seeing them in the state, frankly, that they're in at the moment?
Uh, it's sad to see a club like that kind of drop so quickly, and not necessarily just because it is my hometown. Like I think if any club had had the consistent history, or at least recent history, they've had to drop that low, you would say that about any club, not necessarily just because it's my hometown. On the spin of it, I also know how difficult it is to change that very quickly. I mean, when I was there, we went through a period where we got relegated out of the Championship. just managed to stay up the next season and then got relegated again. So we had 2 relegations in 3 years. It's not easy to change it. It's a very difficult process, and we was fortunate enough to kind of come out the back of that and get a promotion off it. But look, it's not very easy. It's a difficult place to kind of go, just because, I mean, they're not in great form, but the ground itself is quite tight. The fans, they get on their side, but when things aren't going your way, it then spins, and it's hard to kind of counteract that. I think the biggest thing from our point of view as a team is we have to make sure we're fully focused on the job that we're doing going there, no matter what their record is. We've seen in the World Cup, Saudi Arabia not won a World Cup, or Argentina have not lost a game in 3 years and they end up losing 2-1. So we have to make sure we're fully focused going into the game on Saturday, and after that then fair enough, like where Scunthorpe are, it will be something personal to me, but before that it's my job, and I'm here at this club and I want this club to do the best it can be. So we want to make sure that we do what we can and what we're capable of, and then the romantic side of me will then want them to do better after that.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, there has to be no mercy between 3 and 5 o'clock. But I do just wonder about the future of that club and the importance of that club to the town that you'll know about. There's talk up there about possible administration and things like that. And this is a big club, a club, as you said, been up in the second tier.
Yeah.
That's the last thing any of us want to see, isn't it? A club of that size and importance to a town to ever go through problems like that.
Yeah, it is a big part of the town as well, and it's sad to see their attendances dropping the way they are. Look, we all know how difficult football can be, and obviously not last year, but the previous 2 seasons, because of the worldwide pandemic and the financial impact of that, I'm sure was very difficult for a lot of clubs. We as Notts County, very fortunate that our owners were absolutely outstanding and they put us in a position that everyone within the club was very stable. Other clubs wasn't as lucky as that. I think that is maybe part of not the cause, but it definitely has had an effect on Scunthorpe. It makes it more difficult to recruit, and then when you're not playing good football and you're not getting the results, the fans don't come, and that's another point of finance that you bring in. And look, unfortunately, in football, most of the time, finance does talk. If you have a budget that's competitive, it really increases your chances of doing well. I'm not sure what their budget is, but I know for a fact that the financial implications of the pandemic really hit the club hard, and I still think there might be in some form of situation where that might be affecting their recruitment right now. I'm not fully aware. It's just kind of what you hear locally, but it is very sad, and you don't want to see it, because it is, like I say, it is a huge part of the town. And when then people stop coming to the game, it's not just the football aspect, it's the social side and the mental side of it for the people as well. And when you don't have that outlook and that positive experience on a Saturday, then you're probably not going to want to spend the money to do it, and you're also going to miss out on that social experience that we as human beings, we crave. So there are multiple levels that makes it difficult. You just don't want to see them end up in administration and whatever comes after that, really.
You're right. I mean, football's so personal, and we all have such an emotional attachment to our clubs. I just wonder on that note, are there people either working at the club from when you were there, or supporters of the club who, when you're up there, you'll kind of chat to about things?
There's a couple that are working there that probably was there when I was there. I know Lee Turnbull's come back in. He was actually my employer when I first signed pro, so he employed me for the trust whilst I was signed my first professional contract as well. So I know Lee quite well. Muzzy's still there, the goalie coach. Tony, who's just stepped back to the youth team, I know Tony really well. And they've all had difficult times and been put in difficult circumstances. So, yeah, I definitely feel for them. But there's also a lot of people there that wasn't there when I was there, and it's just as challenging for them. And then, yeah, I've got a few family that still go to most games. My brother-in-law and my dad are season ticket holders, so they still go. They've had a tough couple of years. I don't really know how else to say it. But they still go and they still support them, so credit to them, because I don't know whether I would if I was them.
Great stuff, Sam. Thanks very much. Best of luck this weekend.
No problem. Cheers.
Hi, Sam. So when we spoke earlier on in the season, you identified close to around 20 clean sheets as giving you a good chance of getting promotion, and you've already got 5 more than last season, if my maths is correct. What's been different compared to last season?
I think definitely our organisation out of possession and our intensity out of possession has been a little bit different. Last year I felt like we had to be unbelievable to win the game, because we'd always give up a chance, or you kind of felt like the opposition would always get a really good opportunity to score a goal. So you're either counting on your goalkeeper to make a save that he shouldn't make, or the defence is making a block that they shouldn't make to keep that clean sheet last year. Whereas this year, I think as a team, and in fact not even a team, as a squad and as a club, we're absolutely ruthless with and without the ball. So I think that is a big difference. The small details in which we discuss and how we do it is a huge difference, but that takes kind of weeks, and pre-season we worked really hard on them small details on the training ground and in the analysis room, and I think that is paying dividends. I also think the tight squad we've got does affect it, so you understand each player's tendencies a lot more when there's less changes, and also because of how we train and how they're structured, no matter what team is picked, we all know what each other's tendencies are, because we've been put in the position where we've been playing with different players all the time, and that's a massive factor as well, and that's credit to the management and how they tailor first the message they put across it within the training and within the analysis, but also how they structure the practices as well on the training ground.
So you've started all 20 games this season, but I just wanted to get a word on Brad Young. Obviously moved from Leicester on loan at the start of the season. He's only played 1 game. So I just wanted to know, like, what's he like in training? Is he pushing you further to a new level, and you giving him advice on how to improve?
I think first and foremost, what you need to know about Brad is he's probably just as disappointed about not playing many games. If we're honest and it's football, he probably came here wanting to play football and improve his experience. He's in the position where he hasn't had them opportunities really, and probably as much as he wants. Rightly or wrongly, however you want to see it. But the biggest thing is his demeanour and his attitude. What he brings every day on the training ground is huge. I think what he has brought is somebody to provide massive competition for not just myself but for Tiernan. So that has helped both of them and improved their levels collectively, not just one or the other. And yeah, look, like, I'm not daft enough. I've been in this game long enough to know, like, if you're not at it and you're not on it and focused, you're not going to stay in the team for that long. So whether it be Brad or whether it be Tiernan, we have the young lads coming up with us daily as well. If they're on it and I'm not, I'm not going to last much longer in the team. Do you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
the competition he brings is huge, and like I know he's only young, but I will ask him questions about what they do at Leicester, what the Leicester keepers do, what other keepers he's worked with, because he's also trained with a couple that have had really good experience. So I'll be always asking him questions, and he's very inquisitive himself. He'll be asking them back, and he goes back and trains with Leicester every now and again. And the biggest thing for me is, as much as he's frustrated about not playing here, he's coming back from them sessions that he's doing with Leicester and saying to us, like, look, the work that Wheelie does in the sessions and the chats that me, Brad, Tin and Tom all have, he says he feels so much more comfortable and better in the sessions going there because of the information and the detail he's taking on here. So I know for a fact he'll be frustrated that he's not playing games, but he's been fantastic it's been a fantastic experience for him in terms of a learning, and I hope that does pay dividends to him in the future. He's a great guy and a great person, and he really works hard every day, and he's a good role model to have in and someone to push both of us.
And then just finally from me, I know David's touched on it. It was announced earlier this week that Tony Dawes had stepped down from his role as first team gaffer and gone back to the academy. Does that at all alter preparations for this weekend?
From our point of view or from theirs?
From yours?
Not really, no. Like I said, I know Tony. I've played under him a few times because he's taken that role 3 or 4 times throughout the club, probably even more than that. I kind of know what he brings to that role, and if I'm guessing, I don't know, he would see that caretaker manager role always as temporary. He's put massive emphasis and a huge contribution and a lot of his life really into developing the next crop of players coming through at Scunthorpe. He's been in the academy role for a long time and done really well with it, and I think that's where he knows his heart is. That's my belief. I don't know whether that's what he said, but look, the people that are in charge for the game against us were all part of the staff before Tony sat down. So I can't imagine them to prepare that much differently. And I know for a fact that we don't. We prepare to make sure we can play at our very best every game, no matter what's going on at the opposition's club. And look, the biggest thing for us is we haven't had a game last week. So all the lads out there have put in so much hard work over the last 2 weeks, because it has been grueling and it has been tough, but they're all chomping at the bit and really motivated for just to play on Saturday. It could be anyone. So yeah, we're really focused, and we hope we can put the performance in that we've been showing throughout the start of the season.